Tech and clips.
Yeah. So am I wrong? Just breathe, breathe. When I lie down in your arms, I'm intrigued by you. Even when the day comes, even when the day. Listen to it.
We don't want to follow we don't want to follow no trends that are being said that you have to be this if you're black or you have to be like this. And I've always said, and I said it last time in an interview too, that when you grow up in a city, in a country, and you're a minority, there are always challenges to it. You're different. You're an underdog.
How does a duo from Norway sell millions of records worldwide, dominate Billboard charts, tour with Usher and Bruno Mars, then seemingly disappear? What if the two friends who refuse to have a plan B are hiding something bigger than their comeback? Before this ends, you'll discover two secrets that'll blow your mind: the dinner party conversation that changed their destiny forever, and the real reason they walked away from fame at the peak of their success. Stay close, because the Nico and Vinz story isn't what you think it is. The year is 2010. In Oslo, Norway, two young men from immigrant families are about to make a decision that will either destroy their futures or launch them into global superstardom. Kahuli Nikolai, known as Nico, grew up in Holmlia, Oslo, his father from Ivory Coast bringing West African rhythms into their home. Vincent Dinyari, called Vinz, was raised in Lambertseter, Oslo, with parents from Ghana who filled their house with highlife music and African soul.
As parents from Ghana, I have a dad from Ivory Coast and a mother from Norway. In Ghana, they call themselves the Black Stars, and in Ivory Coast, we call ourselves the Elephants.
They met as teenagers, two kids navigating life as minorities in a predominantly white Scandinavian country. Nico was half Norwegian, half Ivorian. His mother was white, European, grounded in Nordic culture. Vince's stepfather was white Norwegian. They understood both worlds, the Western and the African, the majority and the minority, the privilege and the struggle.
It definitely is. We are a mix of so many different things. We're a mix of our African roots, our Scandinavian heritage also, and also because we used to rap a lot before, also this urban culture, urban vibe that's to us. We mixed that up. So Africa is definitely a part of that, but also these two other things that I mentioned, and that's what makes Nico and Vinz.
And that understanding would become their superpower. In 2010, they formed a group. But they didn't call themselves Nico and Vinz yet. They called themselves Envy. The name itself was a statement. Hungry, ambitious, willing to take what others had. They enrolled at the Nordic Institute of Stage and Studio, NISS, surrounded by fellow musicians who would become their touring band. Bassist Helva Rolag, multi-instrumentalist Magnus Martinsson, drummer Svein Ange Bjorkedal, and keyboardist Daniel Strand became their brothers on the road. But here's what nobody tells you about their early days. They almost gave up before they even started. That dinner party changed everything. When their friends asked what they were studying, and everyone had respectable answers, doctor, psychologist, stable careers with clear paths, Vinz said he was making music work.
I remember actually I was at a dinner party with some friends, and we were just talking, and education and the future came up. One of my friends said, I'm thinking of studying, to be a doctor. And this other friend of mine, he said, I'm studying to be a psychologist. And they looked at me and was like, so Vince, what you thinking of studying? I was like, I'm thinking I'm gonna make this music work.
No plan B, just plan A. Executed until it succeeded or killed them trying. Days later, they were in the studio writing about that exact moment. The result? A song that would eventually help define their philosophy. Follow your vision, walk your walk, don't let anyone control your life.
We were like, yeah, but you need a plan B. And I was like, no, I don't need a plan B. I'm gonna make plan A work. We went to the studio a couple of days later and we started talking about it. And we just had like similar experiences from this as well.
Yeah, and even if you chop down the lyrics, you'll hear it clearly. Like, am I tripping for having a vision? My prediction, I'm gonna be on top of the world. Walk your walk and don't look back. Always do what you decide. Don't let them control your life. That's just how we feel.
In 2011, Envy made their debut at the Emergenza Music Festival in Barcelona, Spain. They won the final at the Taubertal Open Air Festival for new emerging artists in Germany. In June 2011, they released their debut single, One Song, which peaked at number 19 on the Norwegian singles chart. Not bad for two kids from Oslo who were told they needed backup plans. On April 27, 2012, they released their debut album, The Magic Soup and the Bittersweet Faces. It peaked at number 37 on the Norwegian albums chart. Go Loud followed as the second single.
Hey, go loud for me, go loud for
They were building momentum locally, but something was missing. The name Envy kept getting confused with other artists.
Yeah.
They needed distinction. So they became Nico and Vinz. In April 2013, now signed with Warner Brothers Records in the US, they released a single that would change their lives forever. The song was called Am I Wrong? But this wasn't just another pop song. The music video, directed by African folk music composer Kavar Singh, was filmed in Botswana and at Victoria Falls between Zambia and Zimbabwe. While Western media constantly portrayed Africa through tragedy and poverty, Nico and Vinz deliberately showed the beauty, the joy, the vibrant culture of the continent their parents came from.
So very often when we go out and play, like Vince said, people are, we're a support act. So they're not going to come out and be like, oh my God, it's Nico and Vince. But after a while, people get warmer, after 2-3 songs. And they realize that these guys are good. We can dig these guys. So that's how it feels like when we get on stage. I think for us, what we always say is we try to be ourselves, right? And we have so many different types of backgrounds. We are Africans, but me, I'm half white, I'm half Norwegian, half Ivorian. Vince has parents from Ghana, but we grew up in Norway.
The song exploded. Number 2 in Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. Number 1 in the United Kingdom. Number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States. By early 2014, Am I Wrong was the number 1 most added record on mainstream American radio. They'd done what seemed impossible. 2 black kids from Norway had conquered global pop music. In early 2014, they received the European Border Breakers Award at Eurosonic Festival. They performed at the Spellemann's Awards. They launched a Scandinavian tour. Then came the call that validated everything. Bruno Mars wanted them on tour. They traveled across Europe and the United States, opening for one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. But that wasn't enough. Usher called next.
That's just how I feel. Trying to reach the place that I can't see.
Very crazy, actually. We've done 5 shows now. We've been to Copenhagen, we've been to Cologne, Hamburg, and Antwerp. That's 4. That's 4. So not 5, 4.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. It's been really great. First of all, just standing in an arena, performing in front of so many people. And after that, having an opportunity to see Usher play live.
Amsterdam? Did you say Amsterdam?
Amsterdam. I didn't say. So we did Amsterdam.
Copenhagen, Cologne, Hamburg, Antwerp, Amsterdam. City after city, they performed in sold-out arenas, watching one of R&B's legends command stages before getting to perform themselves. Some crowds were tough. After all, they were the opening act people didn't come to see. But slowly, song by song, they converted skeptics into believers. Their favorite cities? Copenhagen and Antwerp. The energy, the openness, the way crowds embraced 2 African-Norwegian artists singing about identity, belonging, and refusing to apologize for being different. In Your Arms followed as their second major single, charting across Scandinavia and Europe. On September 23, 2014, they released their album Black Star Elephant. The title itself was a metaphor. Rare, powerful, impossible to ignore. The album showcased their fusion sound, pop melodies over reggae rhythms, soul vocals with hip-hop flows, African percussion driving European production. In October 2014, When the Day Comes dropped as the next single. EA Sports selected it for FIFA 15, exposing their music to millions of gamers worldwide. Their song, Find a Way, featuring Emmanuel Jal, the Sudanese-Canadian artist, was featured in the film The Good Lie, starring Reese Witherspoon.
Don't know how we'll be okay without finding a way.
David Guetta called. The French DJ superstar wanted them on his 2014 album Listen for a track called Lift Me Up, also featuring South African legends Lady Smith Black Mambazo.
Lift me up, don't hold me down.
Nico and Vinz were now collaborating with Grammy-winning producers and iconic African artists on the same song. The fusion they dreamed about was becoming reality. In September and October 2014, they performed at the iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas and on Dancing with the Stars in Los Angeles. They'd gone from Oslo teenagers to American primetime television in less than 4 years. In August 2015, Taylor Swift invited them as special guests on her 1989 World Tour stop in Vancouver, where they performed Am I Wrong? At BC Place in front of over 50,000 screaming fans. But success came at a cost. nobody saw coming.
Oslo, Norway, moved to LA, and as soon as we landed in LA, we started traveling everywhere. We got on tour with Bruno Mars. We just came off with a tour in Europe with Usher. We've been doing promos. We've been traveling to wherever, being able to see America in its fullness now. So, it's been so much. We met so many different people.
Yeah.
Like, you can only imagine how crazy it's been, but it's so much fun, and we're actually living a dream. So, couldn't be more happy and blessed about that.
They'd moved from their mother's homes in Oslo, a city of 500,000 in a country of 5 million, to Los Angeles, a sprawling metropolis of over 12 million people. The culture shock was brutal.
Like I said, it's not even about just handling all the work or the traveling or like that whole aspect of it, but also just traveling and moving to a whole new different country, and that dealing with like a culture shock. Being in Oslo is 5 million people. Norway is 5 million people. Oslo is 500,000. But LA is I think it's about 8 or 12 or something like that. And so it's and just like the whole area is so big.
Everything moved faster, bigger, louder. They went from being the biggest Norwegian artists to being relatively unknown faces in a city filled with superstars. Around 130 shows on the road, back-to-back promo, interviews, performances, barely having any time to breathe. But they were living their truth.
Yeah.
At 16, Vinz got a home studio set up. His friends bought him a stand and a pop filter. His parents bought him a microphone. That bedroom in Oslo became their laboratory. When he was 18 or 19, he and Nico got serious. They looked at the stars on TV and asked themselves, what do we have in common with those people? The answer was simple. They're people too. If they can do it, why not us? In October 2015, they released the EP Cornerstone. The lead single, That's How You Know, featuring Kid Ink and Bebe Rexha, peaked at number 2 in both Norway and Australia. They also appeared on Alesso's song, I Wanna Know.
I wanna know, hey, hey.
Praying to a God followed as the second single from Cornerstone.
She's praying to a God, I won't talk back.
In January 2016, they released Hold It Together, teasing their third studio album planned for later that year.
Hold it together, hold it together, hold it together.
But something shifted. The momentum slowed. The constant releases, the touring, the pressure, it was wearing them down. In November 2017, they released a new EP titled Elephant in the Room, featuring singles Intrigued and Listen.
Something more than what I usually see.
The title said everything. There were things they weren't talking about.
Heard your hips don't lie, I'ma listen to ya.
Issues beneath the surface, questions about identity, purpose, and whether the pop machine was consuming who they really were. Then came 2019. In a podcast interview, Nico and Vinz revealed they were working on their sophomore album. Fans waited, labels waited, the industry waited, but the album never came. They didn't announce a breakup. They didn't release a statement. They just stopped. Two artists who'd sold millions of records, charted across 5 continents, collaborated with legends, and inspired a generation of African-European artists to embrace their dual identities. Gone. The truth is complex. They'd spent their entire careers fighting ignorance, showing that you could be African and Norwegian, that you could make pop music with African roots, that minorities could headline festivals and top charts. They'd proven at that dinner party years ago that Plan A was enough, but maybe somewhere along the way, they realized the industry wanted them to be one thing when they were actually 100 different things. Nico spoke English, Norwegian, and French. Vinz spoke English, Norwegian, and Dagare.
We used to rap a lot before, so we brought the urban influence into the music. We have African roots, brought the African influence in there. And also we're from Scandinavia, who has are known for good pop melodies. So that's the way we kind of sing too. And all of that, and it's created this new mix that I think people like then.
They weren't just musicians, they were cultural translators, bridge builders between continents and communities. Their music fused genres so seamlessly that people couldn't categorize it. Was it pop, reggae, soul, hip-hop, Latin? Yes. All of it. None of it. Something entirely new.
What I'm personally battling with, or just trying to work on, is just thinking about being yourself, stay true to who you are, but also at the same time being open, because there's a balance there to open to new things.
Both were in committed relationships during their peak years. Vinz for 3 going on 4 years, Nico for 4 years. Long-distance love while touring 130 shows a year isn't easy. Being away from home, from family, from everything familiar changes you. They'd gone from Oslo teenagers to global superstars before they'd fully figured out who they were as men. As of 2024, Nico and Vinz remain relatively quiet. No major releases, no tour announcements, no comeback singles. Their combined net worth is estimated between $5 and $8 million, built primarily from Am I Wrong royalties, touring revenue, and publishing deals. Not bad for two kids who were told they needed a plan B. But here's what the industry doesn't want you to know. Maybe disappearing was their plan A all along. Maybe after proving they could conquer the world, they chose peace over fame. Maybe the real victory wasn't staying on top, it was having the courage to walk away when everyone expected them to keep climbing. Nico and Vinz haven't released a major project since 2017, but their influence echoes through every African European artist who now feels permission to embrace their full identity. They showed that you don't have to choose between your cultures. You can be all of them simultaneously, unapologetically, powerfully. They attended dinner parties where friends told them to get real jobs. They chose music anyway. They were told they sounded too different for pop radio. They topped the Billboard Hot 100 anyway. They were opening acts nobody came to see. They converted arenas anyway. They were minorities in Norway and outsiders in America. They became bridges anyway. The story of Nico and Vinz isn't about disappearing. It's about two friends who did exactly what they said they would, made Plan A work, refused to let anyone control their lives, and walked their walk without looking back. Whether they return with new music or not, they've already won. Because somewhere right now, at a dinner party in Oslo or Accra or Los Angeles, two young artists are being told they need a plan B. And because of Nico and Vinz, they're learning to say, no, I don't need a plan B. I'm going to make plan A
work. Okay, guys, Nico and Vinz. Whew. Wow. So the shocking truth why we'll never see Nico and Vinz again. You know, after watching this video, I have to say definitely grabbed my attention right from the start. You know, I am a big, you know, Nico and Vinz fan. I love the music. I mean, this video is super dramatic. You know, like, you know, it really wants you to feel like, you know, something huge, you know, has happened with them. You know, I liked how he went through their journey, you know, from their early days and as Envy, you know, to hitting its big, you know, with Am I Wrong? You know, it's kind of wild, you know, to see how far they came and how much, you know, impact, you know, they had internationally. That said, a lot of the shocking truth, you know, stuff felt I don't know, you know, kind of speculative. You know, like, you know, I get that they are trying to make it dramatic, you know, but I take some of the claims, you know, with a grain of salt. Still, I mean, it's entertaining to watch and kind of makes you think about, you know, what artists, you know, go through behind the scenes, the pressure of staying in the spotlight and all of that. I also thought the way the video was edited, you know, kept me watching. I mean, it wasn't just, you know, talking. There were clips of their performances, you know, interviews, and some really, really good storytelling moments. I mean, definitely made the whole thing feel engaging, almost like a mini documentary. You know, overall, it felt more curious. You know, I definitely want to check out what Nico and Vinz are actually up to now, because I mean, the video made it sound like, I mean, we are not going to see them again, you know, but from what I know, I mean, they are still around. They're not just putting up music, you know. It's just one of those videos that's fun and dramatic, you know, but makes you want to dig a little deeper, you know, for the real story. Yeah. But I don't know, man. The story of Nico and Vinz is something else. I mean, they made it big, and all of a sudden they just, you know, dwindled down, you know. I don't know what happened. If you're a fan and you know what happened, please share your thoughts. Let us know down in the comment section. But I mean, their story is something else. I don't know what to say, but yeah, let me know what you think about this video. Let me know if you want me to continue checking out videos such as this. Definitely be here to do just that. If you tune in, if you stuck with me to edit the video, I loved very much. I appreciate it on here. My name is Philip. On to the next reaction. Take care, stay safe, and then peace out.